This video is on the objective plot points using polar coordinates. This is the second video on this objective. I am hoping you watched the first video because I did several examples and talked about how to plot points when you're given polar coordinates in that video. I'm just going to go in and do this problem here. So again, if you want to see more about the objective, click on More Instruction. Look at their videos, their notes, their examples. Hopefully those help you. Alright, so they're simply asking here, what are the polar coordinates of the point P shown below? So you see this is a polar grid where it's made up of all these circles of different radii centered at the origin or the pole here. And you have a lot of, several different lines that represent different angle measures being swept out. So it's pi over 6, pi over 4, and pi over 3. And this is off each quadrant, off each axis. So point P here. First, I'd like to know what circle is this on, right? This is on a circle of radius 4. So the value of r could be 4 or negative 4, right? If I'm over here, this would be r equals negative 4 on the polar axis. Alright, so let's say I start at r equals 4 and let's travel counterclockwise until we get to P. What's that angle? So if I start at 4, travel along this circle of radius 4, well, there's pi radians, right? That's halfway around the circle, pi radians. And then to get to P is another, pi over 4 radians. So if I start at 4, r equals 4, and sweep out an angle of positive 5 pi over 4, I'll land at point P. Okay, so 4 for r, 5 pi over 4 for theta. That would be this coordinate right here. 4 for r, positive 5 pi over 4 for theta. Now remember, I've talked about this in other videos. That's not the only way I could get there though. I could have started at 4 for 4, positive 4 on the polar axis, and then I could have traveled clockwise. But remember, if you travel clockwise, that's a negative angle. So if I go clockwise, here's negative pi over 2, and then more pi over 4 more, pi over 4 negative more. So that'd be, negative 3 pi over 4. So if I could use r equals 4 and then go theta equals negative 3 pi over 4, and it would land me at the same position. But that's if I started at r equals 4. I could have also started over on this side of the circle on the polar axis at r equals negative 4. And if I started at r equals negative 4 and travel, counterclockwise, that's a positive angle. Well, that would just simply be pi over 4 in the positive direction, right? So r equals negative 4, theta equals pi over 4 would also take me to P. And, adding 2 pi to this, I could also have started at negative 4 for r, and traveled clockwise, giving me, negative angle. So if I started here at negative 4 on the polar axis and traveled clockwise, I'd sweep out an angle of 7 pi over 4. So that'd be, negative 7 pi over 4. So I could use negative 4 for r and negative 7 pi over 4 for theta and also land at P. So remember, there are infinitely many polar coordinates to describe a location. Right, once you find one of them, you can just keep adding 2 pi, right? Just add 2 pi, you're back there again. Subtract 2 pi, you're back there again. So there are infinitely many answers. But the only one of these choices that actually gets me there would be this 4 for r and positive 5 pi over 4 for theta. So again, I'm hoping you watched the first video where I did a lot more drawings and explanation of that, but hopefully that made sense, right? In polar coordinates, we're traveling on circles centered at the origin, centered at the pole. Alright, So I'm hoping that, listening to me do this, watching me move my mouse around, showing you things on this polar grid, hoping that and the more instruction if you needed it, reading the answer explanations when they come up, right? I'm hoping all this stuff helps you out when you go about working on this material on your own. Okay, and thank you very much for watching.